Good morning, Rabbi Sai. So, just to give an update, since 5 in the morning, different barrages of missiles coming in, not the sirens, but the alarms on the phones are going off saying that there might be sirens. We just got one a few minutes ago. So at any minute, we might have to get up and go to the mamad, but it's 7:10 here in Eretz Yisrael, and we're going strong. Rumor is that there's a ceasefire coming. There's a terrible rumor that one of the missiles hit a building and there's many dead. How many? Nobody knows. But there's at least a few. They're looking through the rubble. A whole building, something, so we don't know exactly. We need Rachmi Shomayim Merubim. Be'ezer Hashem is going to be the end of it. Be'ezer Hashem, there's not going to be any more missiles. Be'ezer Hashem, tomorrow morning we'll have 80 people here in the Beis Medrash. Michael, welcome back. We missed you.
Yeah, but I saw the shear online.
Okay, good.
I mean, you said you want to beat the old people out the door.
Right.
But whatever happened to go down with your ship, Captain?
You go down with the ship when there's able-bodied people. I'm in this is the nursing home shear. Let me out first.
Not yet.
Chas v'shalom. I'll let you guys go. I was just trying to, with a little Osiris, go down those stairs like you mean it.
That's right.
Voice I hear is Los Angeles, to see him in Los Angeles. Thank you to Natan Koshnud for arranging. He took it. When I went to Los Angeles, I got the Chevron. I said, listen, guys, we got to go strong here. You guys are falling asleep on me in Los Angeles. Natan got up and said, I want to take over. Rabbi Yisai, very interesting email here. Oh, first of all, so real quickly, dear Rebelli, for a while I was thinking about starting Daf, putting it off. One day I found myself sitting in my office and noticed a dusty Gemara. Started to open and my days feel more meaningful. My connection to Hashem has grown. One of the most special parts is how my wife and kids now see me learning every day. Brings them closer to Hashem. Inspired me to take an additional Zdarim beyond Daf. He now recruited 12 people. Rabbi, here's the guys outside, so you can see the guys outside. Abi Gargir, Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Thanks to the Daf. What a way to come back. The first day he gets back, we threw him out of the Beis Medrash. I've completed 3 Masechtas in Be'ezer Hashem. We're on the path towards finishing Shas. Thank you, Rebellion, all you've done. You've helped change my life, and I'm deeply grateful. Tiskal and Mitzvahs, Moshe Cohen, Arazi. There's another Moshe Cohen. This is his son. I'm thinking that these are toy tefillin, especially the way he put it on his hand. The little calendar going there, everything Wallack. This person made a massive siyum, invited his whole family, believes that's the way to get people to come to the daf. Sheleimah Mirom. So real quickly, yesterday, right before we went into the mamad, there was a guy knocked on the door, a Chassidish guy with a long beard, pays. He says he's a guest, he's never been to the shir, live, he traveled far, could he please come in? We're already at the limit, we let him in. And then I asked him if his name is, I said, oh, there's somebody in the shir that reminds me, are you his brother? Kitzer, his name is Kirshner. I said, oh yeah, his name is Kirshner. Turns out the guy I'm talking about is Felberbaum, not Kirshner. So what's interesting is, so I say, listen, this guy Felberbaum, he comes over to me at the Shabbaton, he says, do you recognize me? I said, no. Completely shaved, no. He says, I'm Felberbaum. I said, Felberbaum? From last year? He says, yeah, last year he had a beard literally till his belt. He says, I'm no longer on the path. I said, so what are you doing here at the Shabbaton? He says, last year Shabbaton was the first time in my life that I felt Shabbos. First time I enjoyed Shabbos. And yeah, I'm not on the path. You heard that boom?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Baruch Hashem's not here in Ramah Bet Shemesh, and let's hope that we don't have to run out. He says, I hope this is not the second time I say the story and the alarms go on. He wanted to experience Shabbos again, even though he's not on the path. So I said the story to the guy. Listen to this email. From Aaron Shulam Felberbaum. Hi there, Rebelli. Was great getting an unofficial grease from you through the shir today. I gotta say that from Shulam Yosef Kushner to Aaron Shulam Felberbaum is somewhat of a stretch, but I'll give you a pass on that. I'm happy to say that I haven't missed a single daf since Zois Chanukah 2.5 years ago, even though I'm not observant anymore. My friend actually asked me that if I'm agonistic, then why am I still learning? To which I replied jokingly that I need to learn to be able to be Mekayim Damasha Toshiv. We have to learn Torah to know what to answer to the Apikairis. He's the Apikairis, he has to know what to answer us. But on a serious note, he was a Rebbe in Cheder.
Wow.
But on a serious note, I'm still learning with you because I simply love your way of doing it without trauma, with so much fun and positive energy. And to me, someone who used to learn sometimes 11, 12 hours a day in yeshiva, when I was still Jewish, I mean observant, and he puts a smiley face, when he was still Jewish, because you call a guy like that, he's not Jewish, right? And I actually liked learning, but put the trauma aside. I always liked the knowledge and understanding, but I was punished by my rebellion for being able to learn too good. For instance, I had a magachir, my phone is going off like crazy. That means the missiles are coming in all over the place. Here, I'll just leave it like this so you can see. When I'm reality, I'm simply innocently always figured out that ask questions. You see those things? No. Okay. Bekitzer, he was asking too many good questions, like Ari Simon, that I accused him of learning the daf beforehand. He was like one of those guys. Valedictorian type of guy. If you could zoom in onto this, he's one of a kind. So zoom in on him, what it says by his head. Zoom in, Atazoi. Harei ani kiven shishim shana. You put up a sign over there.
That's a classic.
Benny's Benny, a guy that brought thousands and thousands of people this year. He has special ins. Anybody who brings a few thousand people to this year, we could make some sort of exception. I always like the knowledge and understanding that I was punished by rebellion being, if Nissan Gans walks in here and decides he's 60 years old also. For instance, I had a Magachir who actually accused me of preparing myself. The kids are Weiter, calling me the names, whatever. This is the real Torah and the way people are supposed to represent and behave. When I want to know pardon anyway, I'm already looking forward to the next year Shabbaton again. You hear this? And to continue to do the daf every day. Here, you see my phone? Red alerts. 63 red alerts, and Baruch Hashem not here in Bet Shemesh. And continue to do that every day, like my friend told me that he's hoping, Hama'or sheba yachzireni limutov. Best regards, and yes, you can totally say my real name, Aaron Shulam Ferbelbaum, not Shulam Yosef Kirshner, Monsey, New York. Another person I didn't know his name so well. Hi, it's Mordechai Feldman. You don't know my name, but you know my face. I sit opposite Nachum Katz and Yisrael Helpern. I should be joining the other young 60-year-old plus group at the MDY Shul. Instead, I'm a guest at the 5-star Shari Tzedek Hospital and have been here for 1 week. However, I haven't missed a daf. I bring my Hebrew art school Gemara wherever I go. I spend 15 minutes here, it's still going. Zoom in on this, please. I spent 15 minutes waiting to see my eye surgeon struggle to learn with dilated eyes. I finished today's daf. Oh. I feel it though. I finished today's daf in the 7th floor Mamad room during an abaka. What does that mean? Hazaka, abaka. I miss you, Nachum, Yisrael, Michael, Abe, Ruvain, Chaim, the rest of my young chevra. Please don't give away my seat. Bezrat Hashem, I'll be back. P.S. Tomorrow I go for my 3rd CAT scan to see if I need a 3rd surgery. Please daven for me. Mordechai Anshel Ben Beira. Mordechai Feldman, very truly yours. Mark Feldman, law office of Mark Feldman. I didn't know he's a lawyer, you see? Mordechai Feldman, I have to remember that name. Mordechai Feldman. The guy that sits right across. Okay, Rabbi, so there's a lot of stuff here. Oh, here's Avi. The Yisurim that these people went through. I told him, look, it's not cancer, and it's not a death in your family. It's tremendous Yisurim. You have to be Mikal Bahava. He was in the airport 3 nights in a row. He finally got on his plane, and they said there's a technical difficulty. You know these things, getting on, getting off, coming, going. Bezer Hashem soon he'll be. This last night, Rabbi Isai, I didn't let them into the Beis Medrash. Here they are learning outside. Very proud of them. I like this a lot because Jeremy Shiowitz, Baruch Hashem, I have really nice news to share. I spent this past Pesach with my parents. The last day, my father, Moshe Shiowitz, was 81, made a comment about how important it is to keep the brain active as you get older. Say, truth is, I've been waiting for such an opening, so I jumped at the chance and pitched Daf Yomi with MDY. Now, you don't know my father, but let's just say most people wouldn't peg him as a Daf Yomi type. But he was open to it. The next day was Makis 12, and he said he'd wait to start the next Masechta. I said, nope. If you're inspired, you do it right now. I told him your story. He started in the middle of the Sugin Avodah Zarah Daf Chavches. Then I had it in the free Gemara. I just received from him, and I have to refer to my son, Baruch. Baruch Hashem, my father's been learning with you ever since. He's just made his very first siyum in the cycle of Shavuos. And Mizrat Hashem will make a siyum in Shas when he's 88. But wait, there's more. I run a site called emunadaily.com. Write it down. emunadaily.com. Where I send out one short inspirational quote of message each day through WhatsApp. It's Baruch Hashem grown to over 8,000 followers. Every now and then, before new Masechta, I'll make a push for people to join Daf Yomi. I never really know how many people actually join. Today I used a quote from Rav Noach Isaac Goldbaum. Every block in Mar is a missile. Every Tosis is a rocket. Every Kapitel Tilim is a bomb. Then I added the following using the MDY referral link. Klal Yisrael needs these schuyas. Tomorrow's Daf Yomi, where Mir Hashem starting one of my favorite Masechtas in Avodah Zarah. I guess he's quoting me or something. Try for 2 days, you'll be hooked. We need you. Click here and get your free Gemara Art Scroll. Click here to receive Emunah Daily. Baruch Hashem at the time of this writing. 18 new people joined. When you have power like Jeremy Shiowitz from Woodmere, you run a group like that. Look at the schusim. He's doing Emunah every day. In addition to that, he gets people hooked to Daf Yomi. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. 18 people that he knows about. Who knows about the other people that will never tell him? Thank you so much for inspiring me to do more. Plenty more to say. See attached picture of the night I gave my father Makis. Here it is. Mr. Shiowitz. And here's the thing on the side that he put. We have the best weapons. Every black Gemara is a missile. Every Tosis is a rocket. Every Kapitel is a bomb. And here he is, starting Daf. Rabbi Yisrael himself is sponsored by anonymous Latzlach, Berukhin, Begashmiyot, Zechus, Achiנו, Bnei Yisrael. Anonymous may our learning be a shield of protection and source of unity and blessing for Am Yisrael. Joel Gedalius, Eli nishmas, my father, Jack Gedalius. Monthly sponsors TCS Israel, powered by TALKNSAVE. Yoni Klestzick, Refuah, Sheleimah, Miriam, Paral, Pradel, Pesel. Weekly sponsors Max Wallack for the marriage of Michal, Meir, Yosef, Rus Yasmin, to begin a life filled with Torah and Kedusha. Anonymous, the coveted Binyomin Dessau, keep steiging. Daily sponsors, Insanal and Dina Feller. In honor of our son Chaim Feller joining Rebellious Year, you should finish Shas with us. Anonymous, Mazel Tov Simchi Lefkowitz for finishing Shavuos with MDY. Yes, you can finish Shas, I agree. William Hachman in honor of Abe Fishweicher, something like that, who convinced me to do the Daf of the Rebelli. It's about the Yomi. Wow, paying back. Abe Fishweicher, shkoyach. Anonymous, in honor of my dear friend Shulam Tauber that joined the Daf, you should always be successful. There's a bunch of people that care about their friends that are joining, and then the people that got them to join. Paris Chaim and Zahav Levin. Mazel Tov to Leo and Chana Bluma Bassman on the birth of a daughter from the proud grandparents. Mazel Tov to Paris Chaim. Simchas, weiter Simchas. Daily sponsors. Koil of the day. HYK Ventures. I guess that's Hillel, the Machlokes man. In the Schus. Talking about Machlokes man, I never told him Yishur Koyach. On Motzi Shabbos, there were too many people in the Beis Medrash, according to me, according to the government. So I said, Rabbi Yisai, we got to do something. Somebody be Mevater. One of the only people that stood up and left was Hillel Kamiansky. Got up and left, and a person came in and took a seat. Said, thank you, Hillel. Took a seat and sat down.
Like Shmuel HaKohen.
Huh?
Like the Gemara is Shmuel HaKohen.
Shmuel HaKohen. What happened over there?
They went to the...
Look at this group of Talmidei Chachamim.
They went to fix when the Chodesh is going to be.
Yeah.
So they invited...
Oh, there's 10 people. And then, yeah. In the schus of helping our MDY member find an American remote job in Israel. MDY Kids Day, anonymous, Yosef and Karen, Lezivug Hogim Mehera, Amen. MDY Kids Monthly Convention, schus for official Chonan Akiva, Rivki, Mrs. Stefansky, Art of the Month, for Sheleimah, for Yoni, the Menachem Bracha, for schus, for Rebellion, the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so many, in honor of Yossi Klein and Mark Ashkenazi for all the work they do. Boys, I am worried Dikad Daf today. We're holding in Daf, hey, Amud Beis, towards the bottom. So here's some of the questions I want to speak about. Let's say you have a wedding hall. You have some hall, and you know that the person renting it is up to no good. He's going to rent it and do some aveira in there. Are you allowed to rent him the hall? Is it lefnei iver l'sidei michshol? What do you say?
Do you know for sure that he's...
Yeah, for sure.
If he's going to do it himself anyway,
Yeah.
it's like crossing the river. There's a Gemara with the Shmuels on one side.
With the river. Though we're going to learn that, but what is lifnei iver? What is not lifnei iver? That's the question. If you give him, let's say you give him a hamburger teeth, cheeseburger, is that lifnei iver? 100%. So if you give him a hall, is that lifnei iver? So yesh l'chalek, you can make a big difference. One, you're giving him an isser, when you're giving him a place for him to bring in this, or that's not your problem. Bring it. So let's see. Let's say, okay, let's say you give a guy a cheeseburger, and he has a cheeseburger right next to him. He could eat this cheeseburger. You give him a cheeseburger. Is that lifnei iver? Give him a second cheeseburger.
It's another avira.
So I'm going to say, l'chayr, that's not lifnei iver. If he already could do it himself, and he has it right in front of him, the lifnei iver is like what you were saying, Rabbi Nachum, that if you pass it over a river, and he can't get to it by himself, that's lifnei iver. We have a number of sugyas here. So first, we're in the middle of this sugya right here, that it says in the Mishnah that you can't do business with a idol worshiper 3 days before their holiday because he's going to, one of the reasons we're going to see, that's also another sugya today. What is the reason? The reason is because he's going to give thanks to his Avodah Zarah, or it's because lifnei iver, but 3 days. But we saw, the Gemara says, that in order for a Jew to pick out a good carbon, it takes about 30 days. That's why we start doing Hilchas HaChag, Koydem HaChag, Shleishim Yoim, is for the karbanos, to get a good. Says the Gemara distinction because a guy is not makbid on cataracts, dukin shaba'ayin, and all these other things. The guy is makbid on severed limbs. So it's much easier for him to find an animal without a severed limb. That takes 3 days. A Jew is 30 days. So now let's just go like 6 lines from the bottom. Domer Rebbe Lazar. How do you know that an animal that with a severed limb, a ben noyach cannot bring as a carbon? The chsiv, it says by noyach, so here's the teva, beautiful, the teva over here. 2 of each animal, unless it's kosher, so giraffes would be more, wildebeest more. Why? It says umikol achai. Here, all these animals coming in, beautiful stuff that the Yoshi did back in the past. Now, if you look at the pasuk, it says "Umikol achai, mikol basar." It's a double lashon. If it's basar, it's chai. If it's chai, it's basar. So what's this double lashon? L'chari, you can learn from here. Says the Gemara, "Amr Torah have behema shechayin roshay varim shalah." It's coming to tell you that it's alive. Everything is alive. All its limbs are alive. That ben noyach, why is he bringing these 7? So he can bring some animals later on to shecht when he comes out of the teva. So they have to have full limbs. So you can't bring an animal without a limb. Says Gemara, "Haime bailin l'mutei treifod." Deloi. L'chayra, this pasuk Kol Achai is telling us that you can't bring a treva. What's a treva? Some animal that has, let's say, a hole in the heart, or it's missing up to here, whatever it is, treifa. There's a maisa where a guy had a bad heart. He had a treifa heart. And the doctor asked to speak to the wife. And he tells the wife, listen, the situation is not good. The only way you could expect your husband to live is if you treat him nicely. Talk to him, you calm down, you compliment him, the whole thing. You got to talk nicely, otherwise he doesn't have a chance to live. You hear? Yeah. She comes out of the office, the husband says, "No, what did he say?" He said, "The chances of you surviving are very, very slim."
That's great.
Huh? Oh, Mordechai Feldman, Shalom Aleichem. Wow, now we know your name. Mordechai Feldman. I know your name. How are your eyes feeling? You're able to read? Beautiful, beautiful. Should have a Refuah Sheleimah. You shouldn't need another CAT scan, and if you do, it should come out great. No more surgeries. Says the Gemara, somebody just asked me, Mordechai, so what about Mordechai's grandson? I knew exactly what he was talking about. He thought that Oshi is your grandson. No, I say, he just takes care of him. He's nice to him. He's like, he's a grandfatherly figure. It's not his grandson. I haven't seen that kid in a while. I haven't seen AJ. Hey, what's his name? I forgot. JJ. YY. I haven't seen him. He's in America. Yeah. Zog the Gemara. So, Treifa, no, I don't need this pasuk. Treifa. So I want to show you real quickly because think about it. How many animals? What type of animal can you not bring onto the teva? That's what we're going to learn here in this sugya. It's interspersed, like, it's in different ways. I just want to make it clear. What animal can you not bring on the teva? So far, what do we know? Can't bring what into the teva?
Treifa.
could bring a pig. There's pigs on the tray on this table, 100%. There's all sorts.
Fish.
How do you think?
A treifa.
Well, I'm talking about what type of kosher animal can you bring on the table? Mechusar aver, one that doesn't have an aver, or one of the avarim is knocked off. The treifa, that's what we just spoke about. And we'll see one other type of animal that has a chesaron that you can't bring onto the. So, interesting story, true story. A guy comes to the Rav, says he has a certain disease. So the Rav told him you have to move to Eretz Yisrael. He says, why Eretz Yisrael? He says, because exactly what you have, I don't remember what it was. This type of thing that you have is machlekes between the Ramah and the Beis Yosef. The Ramah says it's considered a treifa, and the Beis Yosef says it's considered not a treifa. So move to Eretz Yisrael where the Beis Yosef, the halacha was like the Beis Yosef, and according to him, you'll live. Because according to him, it goes Chachamim, they decide what happens in this world, in Teva. So if he decided in Eretz Yisrael that what you have is not a treifa, go live where he lives, so that the halacha is like him. Anyway, Zog the Gemara, treifa melchayi zer nafka. Says in the pasuk that you should bring these animals so they repopulate, and if he's a treifa, he can't repopulate. That's great if you hold that a treifa cannot have children. But if a treifa could have children, then it's not from that pasuk. You can't learn from that pasuk. So we have a.
Unfortunately, the vet said you're a
This looks like Reb
traitor.
Chaim Kanievsky's house,
Such
right?
a shame. You didn't even leave behind any kids. All that's left for us to do is to try the Kupas Ha'ir.
You are entitled to one salvation. Which salvation would you like? A treifa cannot give birth. This is a makloikis in the Gemara, and according to halacha, it's not possible. For salvations beyond the natural order, please insert an additional 1,000 shekels.
Taka, Tatsil me. And for missiles too.
For missiles too.
Still.
Famous Maisa, very famous Maisa, where a 95-year-old lady gave birth. So what happened? She says, I had the Kupa Shalir, I called up to donate money, I pushed one for Zer Shekayama instead of pushing right for Sheleimah. Anicha lemando amar. According to the Mando, it says that, yeah. Omakro itoch. It says by Noach. To have children with you. Itoch means b'daim lach. They should be similar to you. Now what? Just like you don't have mumim, so too the animals should not have a treifa. Who said? Maybe Noach was a treifa. And the Torah is saying you should bring animals with treifa. Says Gemara, no, tamim ksivbei. It says in the pasuk, famous pasuk, the beginning of Noach, Eli told us Noach ish tzadik tamim. He was complete. He didn't have a treifa. Says Gemara, v'dilma tamim b'drachavaya. Maybe it's referring to his actions, not to his body. He was perfect in midas. No, for that tzadik ksivbei. It says he's a tzaddik. Dilma tamim b'drachav tzaddik b'masav hava. Maybe it's two things. Maybe you do need the two words. Not that tamim refers to his body, his physical body, that he didn't have a treifa, but rather it means that he was tamim, says Rashi, that he was an anav, and tzaddik, that even though the entire generation, they were full of chamas, they stole, and what he didn't. Reb Noach Weinberg, I related to this because I know people like this. Sometimes it's not fair. A person is born with unbelievable midas. You know, he's naturally a pleasant person. You know that kind of person. Everything, he never in school, never got into a fight. He was always calm, collected. Everybody liked him. He's naturally. Does he get any schar for being such a nice guy? No, in my opinion, not, because he's born. The guy was born a bulvan and works on himself. And in this case, he doesn't get upset at somebody, and usually he does. And he's a guy that I personally admire. You know. Guy, the perfect guys. But then you have these guys, the mamish, the perfect, right? But when push comes to shove, would they give the shirt off their back? No. He's nice, he's a balmidas, he's this. But he doesn't go out of his way. I know people like that, man. But then you have the bulvan guy, He goes above and beyond. So Reb Noach Weinberg says there's two types of people. There's personality and there's character. It's two different things. One is what you're born with, and you have a certain personality, a certain thing, that's great. And then there's a character. You build character. The Rashi is saying, I think also, something like that. There's this tzaddik and this tamim. There's tamim means like you're born with a certain, so you're a humble person naturally. You didn't have to work on it too much. But this tzaddik, that you have to like work above and beyond because the whole generation is doing X, Y, Z, and you're saying, no, I'm not going to do that. It's a little different. Akopanim says the Gemara, no, it can't be that Noach was a treifa. Does it make sense Hashem should tell him, bring only animals that have treifas? Look for animals that have heart disease. It doesn't make sense. Sheleimah and someone that doesn't, animal that doesn't have this heart disease, you shouldn't bring on the teva. Okay. So we learn from Itach that the animal has to be a non-treifa. So then what do I do with l'chai zera? I wanted to learn from before, from l'chai zera, that he should not be a treifa. What do I do with this? Lamali. Says what is the point of bringing these animals onto the teva? I thought this morning maybe this is not, we should have had like white beers. This should have been the 60 and older group. L'tzafta ba'alma means maybe Hashem said, bring a bunch of animals on the teva so you have what to do for the next year. You could talk and learning with the elephant, you could eat steak, whatever, have some fun. No. Huh?
It has animation.
Oh, it does? Oh. Yishkach, Dave. He screamed from outside, it has animation. He remembers from yesterday. This is the animation, okay. He screamed. Okay. If the animal is an elderly animal who can't have children anymore, or you just physically can't have children, maybe you could bring him onto the teva just so that Noach has with whom to shmooze and hang out with. The whole point of having these animals is to repopulate. You come off the teva, you have to continue Hashem wants to have animals. He wants all types of animals. He wants leopards and zebras and all sorts of animals. So the bottom line is, there's three types of animals that weren't allowed on the table. One, the mechusar aver. We said chayim, treifa. We said it has to be like Noach. It's itach. It has to be something similar to Noach. Noach wasn't a treifa. And also it says zera. It tells us that you can't have a zaken and a saris in the animal. Cannot be on the table. Okay?
Are those two things, zaken?
No, it's two separate things. Zaken is an elderly animal, whatever that means. 22-year-old animals already over bottle. And a saris. You can't have an animal that went through a neutering process. A dog, a neutered dog, not allowed on the table.
It's a treifa.
Does have a treifa.
Is it? I don't know.
A treifa
I don't know if it could be. Maybe it is one of those. It's the whole pasuk over there. Yeah. Kruz shafcha this. Yeah. Zog the Gemara. Ibayelu. Very simple question. What does the Mishnah say? Rabbi, what do you say? I have a stam question. The Mishnah says 3 days before their holiday, you can't do business with them. So let's take any holiday, think in your mind. Is it 3 days before the holiday, or it's including the holiday? Is the holiday one of the 3 days?
No.
It seems like it's in addition to the holiday. The Gemara is not so sure about it. Ibaylu. Shloshi yamim hein ve'idem. Does it include the holiday? Or it doesn't include the holiday? Here, it's very simple.
Similar to ad.
Lifnei is lifnei. It's lifnei.
So at the end, the Gemara is going to use your raya that from the fact that it says the word lifneim seems like it's before, not included. But okay, let's see. Let's get there. Does it include the holiday or not? So just to show the genius of the Gemara, it really brings out some very cool places to learn this from. Tashma, place number 1. Rabbi Shmuel loimer shloisha lefneihem u'shloisha lachreihen also. So this is a new shita. We never saw the shita. In the Mishnah it says 3 before. He sticks 3 after as well. Now, Isa Gedalius ve'edeyan. Rabbi Shmuel Yom Yedayim Chashvu Mikara v'Chashvu B'Sayf. So it's very simple. It's like this. Their holiday is in the center, and he's saying 3 before, 3 after. Now wait a minute. If you're using the holiday as one of the days, so now you're using it also for after as well. That can't work. You can't use one day for 2 different things. If it's only 3 days and one of the 3 days is the holiday, okay, no, a half a tzara. But to say that that holiday also works for the 3 days afterwards, that makes no sense. How can you use one day for 2 applications? And therefore must be that it's 3 separate days, like you guys said, 3 plus the holiday, and then 3 after the holiday. So this is going no, that's not the biggest raya. I did the Tana Shloish Lefneim, Tana Nami Shloish Lachreim. You're right, it doesn't really work. But he used the Tana Damir that wrote this, wrote a lashon, so it should have a similar lashon, 3 before, 3 after, but it's not. You can't really use that middle day for both. Toshma. This is Geschmack. Yom Aleph. So in Chutzlarts, whoever's from Chutzlarts, most of us, yeah, we know what Sunday is. Sunday is their holiday. So in fact, it says in Hagoyz V'Tziyunim that it says Yom Noitzri, a Christian day. But a lot of the Rishonim say that Noitzri is not. It's not Christian because Christians are not really.
Only Meiri.
What?
Only Meiri says it.
The Meiri. Okay, the Meiri says. Fine, yeah, the Meiri.
Everybody disagrees.
Fine, but to be politically correct,
In the
you should
Hebrew,
see the hard scroll. He's not even. He's only Goyer as the Meiri.
in the Hebrew art scroll they had.
Yeah, I know, but we're in English. We're on YouTube. So the Meiri says that Christians are not considered Oivdei Avodah Zarah. It's a whole debate if they're idol worshippers. Not. We're going to assume, let's say they're not idol worshippers. Somebody else. It doesn't matter who. Somebody that's idol worshiper and worships the Sunday. So the Rabbi Shmuel La'olam Asur. What does that mean, La'olam Asur? Every day of the week is Asur. Now think about it. There's one day that's the holiday. You want to make all 7 days Asur. So how could that possibly be? Only if you say 3 before and 3 after equals 7. In other words, you're not including the holiday as one of the 3. It has to be in addition to the 3. Otherwise, you wouldn't have 7. How many would you have? How many, if the holiday is considered one, you would have 5. Okay, so you're holding with me. You're with me. Here, let's do it like this. If it's like this is great. If the holiday is not included, so 3 days before the holiday, 3 days after the holiday, includes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and 3 days before is Shabbos, Friday, Thursday, the entire week you cannot do business with them. No, the question is how do we do business with other religions today? Because they're not the idol worshippers, whatever. But if you say this is the pshat, that it includes the holiday also, so it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But Wednesday is mutter. Wednesday is going to be a green box. Here, let me show you. It's green. You see, green. And the other direction also. You're going to use the holiday and Shabbos and Friday, but Thursday is mutter. So why are you telling me that the whole week is also? You have 2 days that are mutter. Which 2 days? Wednesday and Thursday. As the Gemara, if it includes the holiday within the 3 days, you have Wednesday and Thursday, the Shari. And Rabbi Shmuel says that all 7 days are also to do business with them. So you're right, says the Gemara. Rabbi Shmuel, who says that all 7 days are also, then obviously, according to him, you have to go with the bottom arrows, that it's the holiday plus 3 days before, plus 3 days after, a total of 7 days. Gewaldig. You're right, but the only time I asked you, which you guys were so certain that it means 3 plus the holiday, but the only time I wanted to know what the halacha is only according to Chachamim. Maybe Chachamim means it's the holiday plus 2 days, for a total of 3 days. Okay, so let's do this Baal Peh. You guys are holding it to me, right? Mm-hmm. This is all good if the holiday is 1 day. If the holiday is 8 days, let's say, they have a holiday that's 8 days long. So how many days are Asr? How many days should be Asr to do business with them? Not if you go back, and just like the Mishnah, only beforehand.
11, 12, 11.
8 plus 3, equals 11. And if you count the holiday as part of it, how many days?
-2.
10. I would say 10. You're holding. Is everybody with Rabbi Yisrael helper in here? 10. So if I tell you that the holiday is 8, what does that mean to you? It should mean, Nachamal. Let's just say what Rabbi Yisrael said over here. If you have an 8-day holiday and you include the holiday as part of the time that you can't do business, so you could add 2 days to it. The holiday is 1 day, plus 2 days equals 10. So the Mishnah should have said, before the Yontif, 10. Or before the Yontif, 3. In other words, go 9, 10, 11. That's also something that he said before. 3 days before is 9, 10, 11. So the Mishnah should have said 3 or 10. But when the Mishnah says 8, we got a big problem. What's 8? 8 is not a time that you don't do business. It's either 11 days before Yontif, before there, or 10, or 3. 3 also makes sense because you just add 3 to the 8, and there'll be 11. What's 8? 8 is not a good number. Yeah? בני, אתה איתי? איפה אתה? איפה נעלמת לי?
ברביעי וחמישי. אני לא מבין למה זה מסתדר.
This chart, right over here. Go back to this chart. Look at the chart for a second. There's two ways to look at it. Is Yontif included in the days that you can't do business with them? Let's call it Christmas, okay? Stop. It's not. Because it's not one of the holidays. Let's say Kratzmach comes out on Sunday. So you're not allowed to do business with them on Sunday, because it's Kratzmach, Monday and Tuesday. If that's the case, it's a problem, because Rebbe Lezer says the whole week you can't do business with them. Wednesday comes out, you're allowed to. So it's muchach that Rabbi Shmuel, who says that you can't do business the whole week, does not include Kratzmach. It's an addition. Kratzmach is by itself, and then you can't do business all the way to Wednesday. 3 days. Yeah, that's good so far? Okay. This one is the complicated one. It's not even complicated, but let's do it inside. First of all, let's talk about this 8-day holiday that they have. It says later on in the Mishnah. Very simple. These are the names. Kalenda, Strunya, Kartesim. Okay, 3 holidays. When does this holiday take place? Let's call Tkufa November, okay? November 1st. When? 8 days after November 1st. Strunya, Shmoini Yom Lefnei Tkufa. And Strunya is 8 days before the Tkufa, before November 1st. Okay, right before November 1st is 8-day holiday. Simanach, if you want to remember what's what. First we're going to talk about after, and then we're going to talk about before, because the pasuk says achar, after, v'kedem, before. We're not going to do, like in English you'd say before and after. No. Now we're talking about after and before, because the pasuk says after and before. Achar, v'kedem, tatar. Okay, so that's about the holidays. Just to make it a little bit more confusing, here, there's something called a tkufa. We're not going to go into the whole thing of tkufa. Really not. Just, it's a time in the calendar, okay? Tkufa, we just said, you came over to me, shkoyach, after Shir, and he tells me, Gemara, Daf Amud Beis says that Hashem is going to put the goyim in the sukkah and turn on the heat. Like Tkufas Tammuz. He says, today was the beginning of Tkufas Tammuz. Shkoyach. After Shir, he tells me. It was punked that day, but there's something called a season. We have 4 seasons. When does it start? Tei B'Shvat Adar. Let's focus just on the season of Tei B'Shvat Adar, the winter. That, whenever that is in the calendar, I just want to show you what Yoshi did back in the day, because it's phenomenal. In Sanhedrin Daf Yud Gimel, it was a very hard sugya, and he made it so easy with these charts, and people from all over the world sent in emails. They couldn't believe it, how easy the sugya became. It was 1/16th, and this is mamish beautiful. Okay, anyway. So, just for as reference, this is not part of the sugya, Rabbi Yisai. Just the Gemara says that their holiday called Strunya is 8 days before the Tkufas Tammuz is a time in the calendar. It's 8 days before, and Kalendia is 8 days after. It says it actually starts in the middle somewhere. Fine. Let's focus just on one of them. If the holiday is 8 days, so you have to add a few days you can't do business before. How many do you add? Well, if the holiday is part of it, you can't do business as part of the holiday. You can't do business, let's say, on Kratzmach, plus 2 days. So over here also, you got the 8, 9, 10. That's what Rabbi Yisrael said. It would be up to 10. 1, 2, 3. It's 3 days, it says in the Mishnah. But that's the problem. Then the Mishnah should have said 10. Why does the Mishnah say 8? That's the Gemara's question. That's the whole question. Why does it say that their holiday is 8? You can't do business for 8 days. It's really 10. You have to add 2. But if you learn that it does not include their holiday, then it's very good. It says in the Mishnah you can't do business for 3 days before the holiday. So it doesn't. I don't care how long the holiday is. 1 day, 6 days, 8 days. The Mishnah says don't do business with them 3 days before the holiday. It makes more sense that we're talking about Haim v'loyedeim. We're not counting the holiday like all of you in the room thought before we started the sugya. We're not counting the holidays. 3 days in addition to that. Because if it's counting the holiday, then the Mishnah should have said 10, not 8. 8 is a no number. Okay, anyway. What's the answer to this? Beautiful answer. No, I could also say let's talk about this because I'm going to count all 8 days as one. 8 days is 1, 2, and 3. So when the Mishnah says I can't do business for 3 days, it means the entire holiday, that's 1, plus 2 more days is 9 and 10. It doesn't talk about 8, it doesn't talk about 10, it talks about 3. Don't do business with them for 3 days. The 8 days of the holiday plus 9 and 10 is 3. Yeah? It's not so hard. It's a little, listen, this is the hardest line of the whole entire daf. You don't get it, we move on. It's not a big deal.
According to that, really, it should be 4 days. It should be the Chag, and then you have 3 days. So you should be 9 and 11 in essence.
It's a unit.
Well, you can't do business with them on the Chag. The Mishnah says, in addition to the Chag, don't do business with them for 3 days. The Chiddush is more on the. It's not even a Chag today. What? It's Erev Chag. It's Erev Chag. That's the Chiddush. If it includes the Chag, Asara Havu, why does it say 8? It should say 10. It says, all 8 days is 1. Here, it's counted as 1. And Mamela, when the Mishnah says don't do business with them for 3 days, it means 2 days in addition to the 8 days. That would be the pshat, according to that man, according to that side. But Lamaisa, we're not going with that. Lamaisa, we're going with what you guys said. In addition to the Chag, you can't do business for 9, 10, and 11. 3 days in addition to the Chag. Says Gemara, I'll prove it to you, and that's what Reb Reuven said before. Or Rav Ashi Toshma, Lifnei Eideim Shel Oiv Deicham Shleish Yom, says in the Mishnah, before their Chag, 3 days. Now I could say, wait a minute. The word Lifnei is not to tell me that 3 days before, but rather it's going to say, because when we brought the other shita over here, you all shook your head, like what's going on here? We never had this. We had a shita that 3 days after also you can't do business. So, the Mishnah is saying lifnei to tell me, don't think that you can't do business with them after. You could do business. Matzei chag for them, start doing business. Maybe that's the pshat in the lifnei. Tashma, lifnei, dem shalev yucham shalev. So now we're just going to bring it right from the wording of the Mishnah that it means in addition to the yontif. Because it says lifnei. And lifnei means in addition to. Listening, it shouldn't say the word lifnei. It should just say, 3 days, and you don't need the word lifnei. Maybe it says the word lifnei. It does need to say lifnei. To exclude that you're allowed to do business right after. Not like the Manda that says you have to wait 3 days after also. That's the case. You could say the word lifnei, but put it somewhere else, and then I'll know it's only talking about before, not after. Obviously, for the reason it says lifnei is to tell me that in addition to their holiday, you have to add 3 days of no business. The boy said that's the end of that sugya. You didn't get it, it's not the end of the world. We're moving on to easier stuff now. Ibaylu. When you do business with the guy, you're not allowed to do business 3 days before their holiday. Why? Is it mishum haravacha? They're going to go and give thanks to their Avodah Zarah. You hear this? It's usher to trip up a non-Jew in an Aveira. What's the Aveira? The Aveira is V'shem Elohim Acherim L'Yisaskiru L'Yisham Al Picha. I cannot cause the non-Jew to thank his idol. That's also for me to do. Lifnei Iver. What's the difference? This day. What if the idol worshiper already has an animal? So what's the nafkamina? By the way, Lifnei Iver, practical terms today, very practical. It's usher for me to give bad advice to somebody else. Not a isser. Not to trip him up in Avodah Zarah. But let's say he wants to buy a piece of property and I'm jealous. So I trip him, I tell him, don't buy there, it's terrible. That's Lifnei Iver L'Sidim Michel. Whatever business it is, it happens, it's a common thing in our generation to give somebody bad advice in business when you know that what you're saying is wrong, but you don't want him to do it for whatever reason. You don't want him to move to this neighborhood, you don't like him, you tell him, don't buy here, it's a terrible place. That's Lifnei Iver L'Sidim Michel. This he has his own animal. Now, if the reason is because he's going to give thanks to his Avodah Zarah, he's going to give thanks even though he has 7 animals in the barn. You gave him an 8th. That's a reason for him to give thanks to his idol. If it's because of Iver, you're not tripping him up. Why? He already has a cheeseburger on his plate. So you give him a second one. That's not Lifnei Iver. Says Gemara, what? If a person has a cheeseburger, you give him a second one, it's not Lifnei Iver. How do I know that's not permitted to extend a cup of wine to a nazir, somebody who took upon himself not to drink wine and not to touch a dead person, not to cut his hair for 30 days? How do you know you're not allowed to extend him a cup of wine? Or a limb from a living animal to a ben noyach. Wait a minute. Well, what are you extending? He has a bottle of wine in front of him. So you gave it to him, so he'll take himself. What do you mean? If you don't give it to him, he'll take it himself. Says the koy betray even in hara. No. What's also for you to do? It's only also for you to extend a cup of wine to a nazir that can't reach it. The store closed, and you're taking a bottle from in the store, and you're giving it. He can't get it himself. You're on 2 sides of a river. He can't reach, and you're giving it to him. But if you could take it himself, if he has a cheeseburger right here, and you give him another one, you're not over. So if he has an animal already to do Avodah Zarah with, and you give him another one, you're not over. But you will be over if the problem is that he's giving thanks to his idol. Stam, what's neged to us also, this happens a lot. You invite somebody that's not Shomer Torah mitzvahs to your house, and you know he's not going to make a bracha on the food. You're allowed to invite him. Things like that. You know he's going to drive to your house on Shabbos, etc., etc. So these are the halachas of Lifnei Iver. Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach has a very interesting tshuva where he says that when it comes to brachas, do not worry about it. It's not, even though it's a problem, he says a huge chiddush that there's a bigger problem. It is a problem, but there's a larger problem that he's going to be upset at you for not inviting him, not giving food, and there's the concept of Eva, which overcomes the other one, which I thought was a nice chiddush. But what comes out is like this: if I see a guy, I have a store, and the guy comes and buys meat, and he buys milk, and he tells me, I'm going home and I'm going to make this nice dish. I'm going to pour the milk with the meat and cook it. That's not my problem. That's not my Lifnei Iver. I sold him the 2 items, but I didn't sell him an Isser. He's creating this for later. But when I give him a sandwich that's pork, that's Lifnei Iver, because I'm giving him the Isser. If he takes the Isser, if he takes 2 things and makes an Isser, I give him a haul and he brings the Isser there, that's not my Lifnei Iver, that's his. Iboilu. Oh, sorry. 1 minute. Let me just finish these words, I think. Daikanami, and I'll prove it to you, because it says, it says, don't reach out. Don't extend your hand to him. It doesn't say don't give. In other words, we're talking about extending a hand over a river in a place where it's impossible for him to achieve it. Shema Mina. So that's a halacha of Lifnei Iver. So we learned another thing today. What case is Lifnei Iver? What case is not Lifnei Iver? I think there was some confusion before this year. No sponsors today. Ibayalo.
Buy meat and then he's doing barbecue on Shabbos.
What?
Yeah, no, so it's not a problem. You knew he told you he's going to barbecue on Shabbos. That's not a problem. Benny sells meat, and the guy says, "I'm gonna take this meat and barbecue it on Shabbos." That's not a thing. I see somebody standing by the door, mamish like Hillel Azak, and putting his ear on the door. Turning on the daf, Stephen Kinnovations, let's see in honor of our sons, Kalmel 12, Yisrael 9 for learning, Sanhedrin Makishvuas, and Avodah Zarah with rebellion. Adar Global, answering questions great again. Anonymous, in honor of all the holy tzaddikim that work so hard to bring us the daf every day with no credit given, enough said. Ibaylahu. What if a person was over this Isser and did business with a guy 3 days before Yontif? Yontif, I shouldn't say Yontif. Their Chag, their holiday. Rabbi Yochanan Omar, Nasav Nasan, Osir. You're not allowed to benefit from the money. Take the money, throw it into the ocean. Rish Lakish Omar, Nasav Nasan Mutter. You're allowed to benefit. Eisir Rabbi Yochanan Shlakish. It says Mefurish, says Rabbi Yochanan. Eideim Shaleimah Gechavim, Nasav Nasan Asur. It says Mamish. If you do business with the non-Jew, you're not allowed to benefit from the money. What are you talking about? So what's the obvious answer? It doesn't say anything about 3 days. It says if you do business with them on their holiday. He says, my love lefnei yedayim, doesn't it mean the 3 days before? Lo yedayim dafka. It's talking about the holiday itself. And Nikedam, you can take the same words and reverse it. Ezer Rishon L'Shlakish, the opposite. Rish Lakish asked Rabbi Yochanan. It says Mefurish that's only the holiday, not the 3 days before. Ezer Rishon L'Shlakish, Rabbi Yochanan, the holiday of the non-Jew, if you do business with them, you're not allowed to benefit from the money. But it only says a day in. It's only on the day of the holiday. But the 3 days before, you don't have to burn up the money. No, not a raya. The 3 days before, he also considers the holiday, he calls it a holiday. But the problem is that we have a Mefurish Brisa that says exactly like Rish Lakish. Tanya Kama said Rish Lakish. We learned like Rish Lakish. When it says that you're not allowed to do business with the non-Jew, only something that cannot, something that lasts forever, like diamonds or whatever. Why? Because then the holiday will come and he'll give praise to his Avodah Zarah. But let's say you buy vegetables that will rot before their Chag, then it's mutter. He's not going to remember to thank his Avodah Zarah. Vafilo, and here, this is the raya. Vafilo b'davar miskayim. Even the diamonds, nasv and nasa, and if you do business, mutter, you're allowed to keep the money, and that's like Rish Lakish. Tani Razvid b'dvei Rishaya. So Rashi just brings the b'dvei Rabbi Yishaya means that it's a geshmaka brisa. Why? Because who wrote all the brises in Shas? The good ones, the perfect ones, Rabbi Yishaya and Rabbi Chia. Rashi here, so that's why he's quoting Rabbi Yishaya. Davar she'enim she'miskayim moichim lahem. Something that, like vegetables that are going to rot, you could sell to the non-Jew. You cannot buy vegetables from a non-Jew. Why? Why is he going to think he's Avodah Zarah? He got rid of the stuff that's going to rot. Story time. There was a min who gave a gift, a whole Caesarean dinner. Is that the right word? It's the Caesars, not Caesarean, because that's like more like the operation for one. The Caesar's dinner to Rabbi Yehuda Nesiah. B'yoy Meidei, on his holiday. Havi Yosef Rish Lakish Kamei, and Rish Lakish sitting there, Omar Heiche Eve, what should I do? I have a big dilemma. Eshkele, if I receive it, I take it. Then I'll tell his Avodah Zarah, wow, the great rabbi, Rabbi Yehuda Nesiah, took the gift from me. Lo Eshkele, I don't take it, he'll hate me, it'll cause tension between the Jews and the non-Jews. What do I do? Omer Eli Rish Lakish tells him, Toluz Roik, take it and throw it. Throw it out in front of his face. Now this guy, I guess, is standing there and listening to this. It's all in Lashon Kodesh, maybe. Certainly, he's going to be very upset. He says, "No, you mamish didn't have what I was saying." Mamish like this. Rabbi said, we have a great video here. Here's the guy. The min is giving. No, not this. Sorry, I messed it up. This one, because we don't want to show Rabbi didn't see his face. He gives him the thing. Pretend that you're tripping. Oops. Oh, it's pretend. Pretend. Don't let him know that you don't go, oh, where's the garbage can? Let me throw it out. Yeah, and then all of a sudden it flies out. The famous story, which I found over here in the Seder Diaries, they say about, there was a person by the name of Rabbi Yitzchok, and he had a tremendous diamond, whatever, that he found. He was very, very poor, but he found a diamond, and the non-Jews heard about it, and they wanted it for the church. And they tried to convince him, and he didn't agree. So they got him on a boat, and basically they threatened him. They said, if you don't give it to us, it's not going to be good for you. So he did it in a way like he tripped, and the diamond fell into the ocean. And they say he was zoichet to have a son called Sheleimah. Who's that? Rashi. Sheleimah ben Yitzchak. It's the famous story about Rashi. So there's many questions. Ava also brings questions today in a practical thing. Ava in the hospital. Are you allowed to perform surgery and be Mechal Shabbos on an Arab? I'm a Shomer Shabbos. Comes in a guy, a non-Jew, I'm allowed to be Mechal Shabbos. The halachas of Ava. Yeah, for Ava, for Sinah of the guy. I also just want to point out real quickly, I don't want to confuse the Olam, but I made this mistake when I started giving shir. The Gemara brought down Refuah Nasiya, and I'm screaming, Refuah Nasiya wrote the Mishnah. Oh, I got it on my head. Oh, you Am Haaretz. There's Refuah Nasi, and the grandson of Refuah Nasi is called Refuah Nasiya, not Refuah Nasi. So I don't think I made the mistake again, Baruch Hashem. But this is one of my favorite. The yichus here is unbelievable. Son after son after son, Gadol Adar after Gadol Adar after Gadol. I don't know if there's any kind of Refuah Kitzer, the grandson of Refuah Nasi, the son of Refuah Nasi is Rabbi Gamliel, and his son, he's the third. Rabbi Gamliel the third, and Refuah Nasiya. Okay, anyway, now we have a super easy, a few freebies over here. The Gemara repeats itself word for word 3 times. So the Gemara goes like this, very simple. It says in the Mishnah, you're not allowed to lend them and you're not allowed to borrow from them. You can't lend them a car, you can't borrow a car from them 3 days before their Chag. I understand you can't lend him a car because he's gonna gain from it. You put mileage on his car, it just ruins his car. So why would he think his Avodah Zarah? Says Abai, there's actually 0 reason. The only reason is because you might come to lend him your car. If you borrow, you might lend. So not to get confused. No. When he lends you his car, imagine today, who's the big king today? 2 kings. They have Bibi and Trump. Imagine if you lend Trump your car. You lend Bibi your car. You'd be standing in the street, anybody that you don't know, you know who borrowed my car? Bibi's driving. It's tremendous chashivas. So he's saying, you know who borrowed my car? Refuah Nasiya, the Jew, the chashiv Jew down the block. It's a chashivas for him. And then he's going to go say thank you to his Avodah Zarah. Now we have the same exact story 3 times in a row. You're not allowed to lend them money. You're not allowed to lend them. It's a gain for him. But to take money from him, amai. Says Abai, there shouldn't be a reason, it's just a gzera. Rav Amar, he'll thank his getchko for him having the opportunity to lend you money. You have to come on to him. He feels good that you come on to him. The parim v'lefroimehem, you're not allowed to return a loan to him 3 days before, or to take money from him. Ask the Gemara the obvious question. You give him $1 million loan back. He's grateful to his getchka. But you take $1 million payment from him. What's the big deal? Is just a gzera that you might come to pay him back. No, the problem is that he might go and thank his getchka. Utzrichi says the Gemara, you need all 4 things in the mission. So these are the 4, yeah? We have don't do business, don't borrow, don't lend, and don't return a chayiv. Says the Gemara, you need all 4. Each one has a chiddush. It's like a loizu avzu. So we start from the beginning, we don't go back, we just go forward. Talks about business, you're giving him something. Then for that he'll go give thanks. So that's why I have to say that you're allowed to borrow. You're borrowing a car from him. Shapir Dami, maybe you're allowed to borrow. Vitam and Lishal, if you say Lishal, that's why I need to say little voice. Vishum Dechashivale Milsiv Azal Amoida, that's chashiv to him that you borrow his car. I have a little voice mehem, but when you're taking from him $1 million, Tsarabaum is like it's hurting him. Maybe he'll never return the money. He's very, it causes him a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. So that's why I need the next one. I'll force him in court to pay me back. But now he'll go and thank his idol for giving the opportunity to lend money to the Jew. But to take money from him paying up a loan, he'll never get the money back. He has a lot of pain. Should we stop right over here? We're kind of behind, but okay. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDAF.com.